Daily Detroit is brought to you by the community. Support our work at patreon.com/dailydetroit.
Hello and welcome to your Daily Detroit. It is Monday, December 9th, 2024, and we are sharing what to know and where to go in Southeast Michigan. I am Jairus Days. Joining me on the line is none other than the excellent Fletcher Sharp. I was looking at your social media, sir, and looking upon it with jealousy because before we get into talking about the Lions, I want to talk about this Midnight Temple food. I've had a ton of friends who've gone. I have not gone yet. It is an Eastern market. It's kind of Indian food. What is the story with this, Fletcher Sharp? How was it?
Yeah, so I did not actually go. My partner went with some friends, and we were supposed to go together, and she texted me that she went, and I sent back like 50 angry emojis because like, what the heck, man? I guess it's to get back for me going in front of her for Game of Thrones, so I guess we're even now. But she bought me back some curry goat and rice, and delicious. I got mild. If you are a spicy, like spiced resistant person, you should be fine. If spicy stuff makes you feel a type of way, I think you'll enjoy the food. You might just need to slow down eating it. If you're someone who's like, ketchup is too spicy for me, you probably should not be eating here. But overall, if I had to get out of 10, I'd give it 8.5. My only issue, which is not really their fault, it's just how curry is. I had some bones, and I have a texture thing. If I feel something soft and all of a sudden like something very sharp in the middle, like it makes me jump. So I didn't think that I would find some bones. But after I realized what it was, cleaned them off and kept going. So yeah, if you are in Eastern Market and you are looking for something spicy or some Indian food, definitely stop by Midnight Temple.
Yeah, I have heard so many good things about it. And it's not, I'd say it's not, the menu doesn't look cheap, but it's not as crazy as I've seen some places downtown lately.
Yeah, spices cost. So like that's something I had to learn growing up. You want the good stuff. You want like the premium cardamom, jasmine. You got to pay for it. Did you do anything this weekend?
I did. I did the most cheesy of things, and I saw the Christmas tree down in Campus Martius Park, but I also saw all the shops in the Cadillac Square, their Cadillac Lodge there that they've got going on. And they set up a number of shops in these like little, they're not shipping containers, but they're like little huts. They're all connected together where you've got these, I want to say like it feels like a 12 by 10, 12 by 12, like little mini stores, whether it's 27th Letter Books or a bunch of other places like selling little holiday wares and things like that. And I definitely enjoyed myself there. There were a lot of people. I didn't get out there until after 10 p.m., which is very late for me lately. I got to say, it being open till 11 is kind of clutch, and there were still people out. It was kind of magical over the weekend. Fletcher Sharp, is your shopping done ahead of the big day?
No.
Me neither.
I still have some places I need to stop for a few people, so I'm going to get to that once we get off of here.
Well, you know what does not stop Fletcher Sharp? The Detroit Lions winning. They did it again, man. Like Dan Campbell's gambles keep paying off.
Yeah, 11 in a row, first time in team history, going to 12-1 now as they beat the Green Bay Packers 34-31 in a game that most people knew would be close. They didn't know it'd be as close as it was and kind of shake out the way that it did. But yeah, Dan Campbell at the end. I know people give him grief for wanting to go for things. There's a method to his madness. I'm sure sometimes people don't really see it until it's way past. Some people still don't see it. But it's worked out for the Lions so far. And yeah, currently sitting with the tied best record in the NFL right now.
I feel like the Lions made the right decision because you didn't want to give Jordan Love the ball under any circumstances.
Not even that. On Sunday, there's a game with the Jets, and the Jets had a chance to do the similar thing the Lions had, and they elected to go for the field goal, thinking, we'll just take the field goal now, whatever. If there's some time left over, we'll deal with it. The Dolphins drove down the field, kicked the field goal to force it to overtime, scored a touchdown in overtime and won the game. Jets didn't get the ball back. So, like, when you give quarterbacks a chance to do something, sometimes they don't, but sometimes they do. And Dan Campbell figured it's either I get this first down and then we kick this field goal, or I don't, and defense has to hold, which would have been kind of scary because at that point, Jordan Love had kind of found his groove, and it was getting a little bit scary for the Lions secondary. Thankfully for all Lions fans around the country, Dave Montgomery found his way over the marker, and Jake Bates did what he does best.
I can't help but think that in a few years, we're going to look back and there's going to be a lot more coaches coaching like Dan Campbell. I mean, people call him nuts now, but it seems like for the most part it pays off and also makes for a far more dynamic game.
I mean, there are coaches who coach like this, just not in the NFL. Like, I know when I coached Little League and even high school to a degree, like, there are coaches who, where, like, the punter is literally just, if he's not a position player who does something else, the punter is just here to, like, hang out and do something on the weekends. Because, like, he's not going into punt unless it's, like, 4th and 17. I think it has its advantages. It also has its disadvantages, as the Lions saw it in that same game where they didn't get a first down they needed to get, and the Packers came back and scored. So, like, it kind of hurts you if you don't get it. And if you're known to do that, then teams won't really be as surprised. I think one thing that the Lions kind of got by on last year was surprising teams with their aggressiveness. And whereas now, like, even the fake punts they would run occasionally, they don't really run fake punts anymore because once you get hit with one of those once or twice and through the whole league, people now put in extra punt packages to say, you know what? We'll give up a big kick. We might not get much of a return, but we're going to keep someone in here to make sure you don't try any trickery. So to see it still work out is great. If you're a Lions fan, if you're a fan of another team, it's probably frustrating. Probably wish your coach would do something similar. But yeah, Dan Campbell is staying exactly true to who he is, and that's something, whether you like it or not, you have to admire, because there'd be many coaches now who would have changed a few things after some stuff didn't work out.
Well, with so many people banged up, I'm actually really glad to see a couple of players step up that I don't think we expected at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, for sure. Namely, Tim Patrick at receiver and Pat O'Connor on the defensive line. Tim Patrick's story is really interesting because he was undrafted, was on a few practice squads, got to Denver in 2017, and played a little bit, not that much, and then he got hurt 2 years in a row, ACL, Achilles, and then the Broncos were like, we're going to let you go, bud, which is fair. I mean, injuries stink and they're not great, but if you can't produce at a certain point, it is a business. And the Lions took a flyer out on him. Tim Patrick was supposed to be kind of like, I don't want to say a practice squad guy, but someone who's on the roster. He just runs his routes and blocks, and that's why he's with the Lions, is because if you're going to be a receiver, you have to block, and he definitely excels at blocking. And he ended up blossoming into the pass catcher he's become. At 31 years old, like, it's never too late in the NFL to figure out something. I mean, if you're not in there, it is. But if you are, there's always a chance. And Jared Goff, after his first touchdown catch of the night, gave him the ball, which is great because he said, they asked him why. He's like, when we played against Dallas, he caught a touchdown pass, but it was called back for a penalty. So I wanted to make sure he had this one, and hopefully he gave him the second ball after his second catch as well. But Tim Patrick's become a pretty good weapon in this offense. He's not going to take over Amon-Ra's spot. He's not going to take over Jameson's spot. But, like, he offers an outside receiver who's a big body who will make some catches. He won't maybe run away from you, but he'll definitely catch the ball in play, get down, and allow your offense to reset itself. He gives you someone who can be a jump ball threat, which you need in today's NFL. And Pat O'Connor, to me, is interesting. While he did not take any time off playing, was really sparingly used. From Chicago, Illinois, went to Eastern Michigan. He's an Eagle. Was drafted by the Detroit Lions in 2017. Was cut after training camp. Spent the next few years with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Got a Super Bowl ring out of it when they beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And then they let him go. And then the Lions picked him up in their practice squad, released him, got all the injuries, had him come back. What's interesting with Pat O'Connor, he's a defensive end, and they had him playing defensive tackle. And I know while a lot of people are like, what's the difference? Defensive ends are typically like big guys, but they're like quick guys. They're guys who want to put their hands on you. Defensive tackles are the big 340 pound, 350 pound, like monsters in the middle who you don't move. And while Pat O'Connor is 300 pounds, he's not a small man. It's very different techniques. And in high school, you can get away with just being a great athlete. In college, it's a bit different. And professionally, it's gulfs apart. It's why you see players who are great right tackles be terrible left tackles filling in, or even terrible right guards filling in, because they're so drilled into one thing. So to see him spend most of his life playing one position, show up in a game that's very important and become one of the focal points. I mean, he was killing it. Like, he had a few tackles, but he disrupted the Packers' offense in most of the first half by just getting the snap count right, to the point where they had to fake a snap count a few times to draw him offside to make him stop doing that. Because he had the call, like, timed to a beat. As Jordan Love was saying, hike, Pat was flying through the line and causing chaos. So these players like these in this team kind of, to me, make them more endearing, not just to the city, but to the whole country.
Well, and he had some words to say about his first entrance on the Ford Field.
Yeah, I was watching a video, and I guess I didn't realize this because, I mean, he's played a little bit with Tampa Bay, but he hasn't really been a starter, which would make sense. And the home game against the Packers, the Lions announced their starting defensive line. They're the ones who got the run out with all the fireworks and the crowd cheering and clapping. And so they asked him about that, and he's like, that's never happened before in my career, like, ever. He's like, I got to watch Aiden Hutchinson and everyone else do it, and it looked really, really cool. So to actually have a chance to do that and have my name called and running down there, he's like, he's so thankful to every single person in the team, because he's like, this is something I did not think would happen. So for them to trust me in this is great. And honestly, trust is a big thing with his Lions team. David Montgomery said something similar. So did Jared Goff. The fact that, you know, people see it as reckless, where it's like, it's fourth down, what are you doing? He trusts the players are going to do it. He has trust in Jake Bates as well. He's put him out there to kick some really long field goals in some different circumstances, but he trusts that his team is going to pick up the first down. He trusts that they can take care of it. And he trusts if they can't do it, the defense will then step up and make plays to make things work.
Here's the thing. As far as their long-term playoff chances, I mean, they've clinched their playoff berth, and that's great. But I love seeing players that aren't the stars stepping up, because that, to me, is the mark of an excellent team. You know, the stars are going to come and go, and you need them, right? Like, nobody's arguing that, like, we don't miss Aiden Hutchinson out there. However, having players at different roles step up, it shows the culture of the organization, and it gives me a lot more faith about this season going through, because I feel like we have even more of that energy this year than we did last year.
I mean, that's kind of, you hate to keep bringing them up because they're like the most important championship team in my childhood, but the 2004 Pistons. Like, yes, Chauncey Billups played well. Yes, Ben Wallace played well. Yes, Rasheed Wallace played well. Yes, the starting lineup played well. But they won because they had the pit bulls in the backcourt. They had Lindsey Hunter. They had Mike James. They had Corliss Williamson off the bench. They had Eldon Campbell giving his big body to help. They had Mehmet Okur off the bench scoring as well. So, like, they had a full team. Yes, while they had their starters and their stars, the reason why they won, and the reason why most teams win championships, is not because of your stars. Like, your stars will take you there. Stars will get neutralized. You have to have X factors after. And a player like Tim Patrick stepping up and being able to make a few plays now means that instead of you just putting two people on Amon-Ra and two people on Jameson, or spying in the backfield, you now have to pay attention to Tim Patrick, because if you don't, he's going to go for 80, 85 yards and a touchdown. And if you put someone on him, now Jameson, his deep corner route is now available. Or maybe you're too focused on the back, and as a result, the running backs get out there. David Montgomery takes a run. Jahmyr Gibbs takes a run. Defensively, you want to focus super much on Quan Alexander coming to join, or you want to focus on the secondaries? Cool. DJ Reader when healthy, Alim McNeil when healthy, Pat O'Connor, Zadarius Smith are now going to cause some more pressure. You want to try to overstack there and take care of the defensive line? The linebackers will take care of it, and they'll start playing better. So it's, to your point, seeing it kind of be a star-driven team, but also be an everyman's team, because, like, this week, Amon-Ra did not have a great game. He had a pretty decent game, but not a great game. But it didn't really matter, and he's okay with it because the Lions won. And that's all that really matters in the end. And you want to see teams like that who are like, hey, Whatever it takes to win, we'll do it because we just want to win. Doesn't matter if this person has 6 touchdowns, if this person has 5 interceptions, this person has whatever. If at the end of the day we have one more point than the other team, that's all we care about. So to see them moving this way is it's I hate to say it feels like a team of destiny, but kind of does a little bit.
Well, we do have the Buffalo Bills coming into town this week. Josh Allen, although I dislike him greatly, I am looking forward to seeing this battle between Jared Goff and Josh Allen. I'm interested to see because the Bills, to me, are a very competitive team right now. The betting sites, as I look up online as we're recording this, puts the Lions up about 3 points, which I'm a little surprised by. But I want the Lions to do well. I think that we can do well. I would feel better about this matchup if we weren't so banged up, but I do like that we're going to be able to get we're getting a little bit of rest. What are your thoughts? I feel like I look at this game and I know that like we don't have to win it. It would be really nice if we did, but I also feel like we don't really have too many tests against the AFC, and the Bills are a serious team.
I mean, it's much less the fact that they're banged up. It's much more the fact they're banged up in the secondary a little bit. A little bit of cause for some worry because early Josh Allen was not a good quarterback. He was a great athlete who can do whatever. Josh Allen of now, regardless of how I feel about him as a person, as a football player, he's a really good quarterback. And he's a big nightmare for the Lions because he's not just a great pocket passer. If you make him run, Josh Allen will run. And he's not like Jared Goff running. Like Josh Allen is 6'5", 230, and he's pretty quick for his size, and he will run you over. He has no qualms about lowering his shoulder into somebody and letting you know about it afterwards. So the Lions tend to struggle with quarterbacks who are mobile because they play a lot of man, and man means you're focused on your responsibility. So you're turning to run with your receiver. So you're not looking to see the quarterback step out of the pocket and take. Even with Jordan Love, you noticed it was kind of hard when he decided he wanted to run for real and not look to throw. He typically picked up like 10 or so yards because there was a big gap of space if he made someone miss. And Josh Allen can do that. He's also got Amari Cooper, who's kind of playing a bit better. James Cook's doing well out of the backfield. He's got maybe not the best receiving cores he's had in the past, but he's still pretty adept at getting the ball to them, and the Lions are still a little bit shaky back there. They're also coming off of a loss to the Rams. They're going to be a little bit fired up to want to prove that they should not be 3-point underdogs. It's going to be a great game. Like, regardless of who you're rooting for, it's going to be a great game. It's going to be a little bit tough for the Lions. I think they win because they're at home. But it's not going to be an easy game. It's probably going to be something higher, like 33-30, something along that lines. The Lions end up pulling away late to salt away another late victory.
Who's going to need to step up in a big way to neutralize Josh Allen? What are the Lions going to need to do to pull out this win?
Linebackers got to cover. Like, I know the Lions don't play a spy, which is where they leave one linebacker in the middle and just kind of keep it on, focused on that quarterback, because it's hard. It disrupts your coverages. But like, you have to cover. Like, you have to cover. You have to not pick up stupid penalties. The pass interference in the back of the end zone that people were like, Terry and Arnold didn't do anything. He didn't turn his head. The referees even said, like, we know that you're kind of sticky with your play. They addressed it earlier in the season. We know you're sticky with your play. We know you're handsy. We'll leave that alone if you just turn your head around. He never turned his head, and he just kept playing with the receiver, and as a result, flag. You can't give those to Josh Allen. You can't give him extra downs because he'll make you. He's an MVP candidate for a reason. Like, if you give him extra downs to do stuff, he will make you pay. And the Lions have been good this year at taking care of the ball. And when teams make mistakes, capitalizing and then not making that many mistakes. So they just need to make sure that they don't make any more bonehead mistakes. Like with Jameson Williams and the Bears, where he got tripped and he threw the ball and hit the dude in the face. Stupid penalty. I understand why he threw the ball. He got mad that he got tripped. And it was a trip. The NFL fined the guy $20,000 for tripping him. So it was an intentional trip. But you can't do stuff like that against teams like this because they'll make you pay. There's a reason why they've gone deep in the playoffs the past 3 years. It's because they make teams pay who make stupid mistakes. So everyone just needs to tighten up a little bit. It's way better than it has been in the past, but tighten up a little bit. No mistakes, no stupid mistakes. If you just get beat, then you get beat. But if you give them yards and give them penalties, then they will make you pay. And the only person to be mad at that point is yourself.
The Bills will be playing the Lions. You can watch the game Sunday, 4:25 p.m. I know that I will be tuned in, and then we will be recording an episode basically right after the game, Fletcher Sharp, for Monday, which I'm really excited to have like an immediate game reaction situation going on. But I'm going to ask you this. I wasn't going to do it, but I am going to do it now. Who's your MVP candidate right now? And does Jared Goff have a chance at being that MVP?
I don't think he should. And that's not to say he's not playing great. He's playing really well. But his numbers are not like eye-popping. Yes, he's completing the ball at a high rate, and yes, he's doing these things well. But if I had to choose right now, Eagles running back Saquon Barkley by like a wide margin.
Really? I don't hear it. Okay,
wide
really?
Margin.
Okay.
Yeah, he's doing some stuff that like he broke the record for most rushing yards for Eagles running back in a season. They've had some pretty great running backs on that team. And he's still got 4 games to go. So like that's an insane stat to have. And also, if I'm choosing a quarterback for an MVP candidate, it's Lamar Jackson for the Ravens. And the reason why people harp on him for being, he's just a running back. He's not really a thrower. He can't do whatever. This year, Lamar Jackson leads the NFL in most of the passing statistics. And if he doesn't lead, he's within the top 3 or 4. In terms of QBR, which is the rating for like who's the best, he's number 1. So, and that's not even including the fact his rushing yards in there as well. So like if it's either Saquon or it's Lamar. And that's not to say that, Goff isn't doing great, but I literally had this argument with a Minnesota Vikings fan. He's like, Sam Darnold should be in the MVP conversation because of whatever. And I looked at his stats. I'm like, his stats are the same as Jared Goff's just about. And I don't think Goff's an MVP. So I'm like, by your logic, Goff should be an MVP candidate as well. By also having like the best record, playing for the best record team in the NFL. And the guy stopped talking. And I'm like, yeah, like I think he realized why this is not, 1 + 1 can't equal 7, man. So yeah, if I had to choose, it's between Saquon or Lamar. Again, Goff is having a great year for sure. I can't give it to him based off his body of work right now.
You mentioned the Eagles. I got to tell you, I had a dream. Did you see that clip of Jason Kelce in his outfit running around in that like Eagles helmet go-kart thing going around the streets of Philadelphia?
No.
It's absurd. Like, it's completely absurd. This big man in this cart that's just like a giant Eagles helmet. And I thought to myself, I would like a giant Lions helmet, and I would like to, it could be a player that people care about. Like Lomas Brown would be great for this. But also I would offer myself up, but probably Lomas Brown would be a better choice. But a demolition derby, helmet to helmet, demolition derby in one of the parking lots outside of Ford Field. I think it would be amazing. That was my dream, Fletcher Sharp.
Yeah, I hope your dream had insurance because that sounds like a logistical nightmare. I can imagine them doing it and something happening, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, shut this down. It's like no more of this. But yeah, no, it could be something. Who knows? Maybe someone will hear you, and next thing you know, the Lions will have the little safer versions of a big old lion bubble helmet go-karts.
Fletcher Sharp, at Saint FDW on the social medias. I always appreciate your insights and knowledge. You get the game so well. You understand it on so many levels, and I appreciate catching up with you, even when I am jealous of your Indian food.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Of course. All right. As always, thank you so much for listening to your Daily Detroit. Make sure to follow us. We're on Instagram, Daily Detroit. We're on Threads, Daily Detroit, Blue Sky, Daily Detroit, or sign up for our newsletter at dailydetroit.com. And guess what? If you want to support what we're doing, join us as a member at patreon.com/Daily Detroit. Fletcher, I think there's a theme here.
Yeah. You want to find us, Daily Detroit.
All right. Well, with that, I am Jer Stays. Thank you so much for listening. Remember that you are somebody, and we will talk tomorrow.